Today, I want to spend some time talking about the 2025 recruiting class, and more specifically, the early enrollees. So just some background information on this class. They were the 14th ranked class in the country. Tight end Andrew Olesh, he was another 5-star. I don't think he's going to start, but based off of what we've seen with the way that Penn State conducts their business with tight ends, it seems like they've always done a relatively good job of incorporating kind of all of those guys into the offense, regardless of what year you are, how old you are. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Road to Happy Valley. I'm your host, Malone. Today, I want to spend some time talking about the 2025 recruiting class, and more specifically, the early enrollees. So just some background information on this class. They were the 14th ranked class in the country, 4th in the Big Ten behind Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan. So there was a handful of guys from this class that were a part of the roster during the practice lead up to the Boise State game. So I can rattle those names off to you guys right here. And I don't know what's going on. It might just be this class in particular, but there's some names on here that I'm 100% going to butcher, and I apologize. So bear with me. So these were the guys that were with the team leading up to Boise State. So 3-star quarterback Beckham Kritza from Boulder, Colorado, 3-star wide receiver Kobe Howard from Pensacola, Florida, 3-star wide receiver Lyric Samuel from Brooklyn, New York, 3-star tight end Brian Kordovich from Cleveland, Ohio, 4-star offensive lineman Owen Aliciene from Cheshire, Connecticut, 3-star offensive lineman Michael Troutman out of Wayne, New Jersey, 4-star linebacker LeVar Arrington II out of Covina, California, 4-star cornerback Darius Dixon out of Santa Ana, California, 3-star safety Braswell Thomas out of Cape May, New Jersey, and then preferred walk-on kicker Matthew Parker out of York, Pennsylvania. So all of those guys were with the team before the Boise State game. I know that more joined after that, and obviously a couple after the Notre Dame game, and then more before spring classes started and everything. So out of the entire class, I believe 16 of the 26 guys enrolled early. That does not include the kicker, just because he is a walk-on. But nevertheless, after the Boise State game, a couple more guys joined the roster. 3-star tight end Taki Hayes from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Taki, I'm sorry if I messed your name up. 5-star tight end Andrew Olesh out of Center Valley, Pennsylvania, and 4-star wide receiver Matthew Auton out of Portsmouth, Virginia. So those guys joined the team after Boise State, in between Notre Dame. And then the remaining guys joined for the spring classes. So that would have been 3-star defensive lineman Randy Adarica from Miami, Florida, 4-star defensive lineman Yvonne Kamaju out of Burtonsville, Maryland, 4-star edge Deshaun Burnett out of Pittsburgh, PA, and 4-star linebacker Alex Tash out of Latrobe, PA. So those are all the guys that are on campus right now, taking classes, practicing with the team, lifting, etc. 16 of the 26 guys. The rest of the guys will end up enrolling in the summer. But as of right now, those are the guys that are on campus. So a couple highlights from this 2025 class. One of the bigger name guys in this class, he is not on campus yet, which not the end of the world. 5-star offensive lineman Malachi Goodman out of Paramus, New Jersey. One of the best offensive linemen in the country. One of the big name guys in this class. 5-star tight end Andrew Olesh. Believe he's the 3rd best tight end in the country. Really, really good guy. 4-star cornerback Darius Dixon, 4-star wide receiver Matthew Auton, and 4-star linebacker LeVar Arrington II. So some of the highlights from the class, like I said, 14th best in the country. So I wanted to just share my thoughts on the early enrollee aspect of this. Obviously, I'm a fan of it. I think anytime that you can get on campus, get around the team, get around the atmosphere early is just going to benefit you so much more in the long run. So when these guys get to campus, when these guys get to campus in the spring, technically like January, February-ish, they know that they're not going to be playing. Obviously, Penn State had 2 games left when a handful of these guys made their way to the roster. So they know that they're not going to be playing. So at that point, my mindset at least would be, I'm just going to be a sponge. I'm going to take as many notes as I can. I'm going to just watch the way that some of the guys that are going to the NFL carry themselves in practice, how they get ready for games. Like, I'm watching guys like Abdul Carter. I'm watching guys like Tyler Warren. Like, those are guys that are going to be high draft picks and NFL talent at the next level. I just want to see how they handle themselves, how they conduct their business. Take anything that you can from those types of guys and start to incorporate that into how you do your preparation as a player and as a student athlete. I'm still trying to figure out, I think they get to do some type of practicing with the team, but I think it's like very, very minimal. But at least during the college football playoffs, once that's done, then it's back to normal. But all of those extra reps, all of that extra time learning the playbook prior to enrolling in the summer, it just gives you a head start as far as being comfortable. It gives you even more of an opportunity to put yourself in front of the coaches even more and earn a spot to play on Saturdays. I think another thing is you get to see how a big name program operates on a day-to-day. Obviously, I know these guys probably have a good idea as to what Penn State's all about, and they go on their official visits and everything, but that's only a few days out of the year, right? Like, you're going into Penn State during the college football playoff, you're seeing how they are preparing at the highest level, right? Like, I understand the season didn't end how we wanted to, but having that opportunity to get there, get around those players, get around the coaches, and see, like, this is what big time football is all about, playing in a college football playoff. And even though they don't get to play, still being there, soaking that in, being around everything is important in the long run. And it can build good habits, and it can build a mentality like, all right, hey, I've been around this. I didn't really get to do anything, but I want to contribute. I want to be able to get back to this point with these guys, right? So that part of it is great. Like I said already, the extra months will allow them to learn the playbook more, but also begin to add more weight, begin to get better, get bigger, get into better shape, like get ready to really play college football. Now, I know that a lot of guys coming out of high school now, a lot of guys are ready to go right away. Not the case for everybody, but you know how it is. So those extra couple months, January, February, March, April, right before spring classes start, like that's 4 months of being around a college weightlifting program, being around a college like eating program. Like, you're going to be able to take advantage of those months, add some extra pounds here and there, and really start to get ready, like I said, to play on Saturdays. This kind of goes back to what I just mentioned, but if you're ready to play on day one, which, like I said, there are kind of guys here and there, it just gives you an extra time for all this stuff. Like, it's so much it's so beneficial. You get to take some of your classes too, get those out of the way so you don't have to take as many when football season comes around. And then leading into the summer too, obviously these guys take summer classes. So at that point, you're already ahead of the game as far as graduation goes. And that's one thing that obviously Penn State prioritizes, is making sure that not only they get these guys to the next level, whether that be the NFL, whether that be at the next step in their career, but none of that happens without the academics. So getting ahead of classes is pretty important too. And just getting used to that, being used to being on a college campus. Like, these kids are coming from high school. I know that it could probably be a culture shock coming from high school to a huge campus like Penn State, right? And then I know some of these guys are not even from Pennsylvania, obviously, and some of them are from a little bit different weather, right? Like California, LeVar Arrington and Darius Dixon, those two guys are from California. Randy Adarica from Miami, Florida. Like, you got to get used to the cold too of Penn State. You're coming from Florida, you're coming from California. Like, those couple months are probably going to be some of the coldest of the year. And if you can manage that, then you'll probably be all right. So another thing that I have written down here is it just allows them to acclimate themselves to the balancing of football and school. So kind of what I touched on already, but still think it's pretty important. All right. Who are the guys that I think will have a chance to make an impact and play right away? Obviously, when it comes to the 4 and 5 star guys, like, those guys are already kind of a step ahead. But with the amount of guys returning for Penn State and some of the openings that we have on the roster, I have 4 guys written down here that I think are going to have a good chance to make an impact right away. So cornerback Darius Dixon. I think with the secondary, a lot of those guys went to the NFL or are entering the draft, that opens up opportunity to come in and make an impact and play in the secondary. And from what I saw, articles coming out pretty much how he seems like he's ready to go out there and play right away. Now, that was at the time of Tom Allen's defense. I don't know if things have since changed now that Jim Knowles is in the building, but I still think that if people are coming out and saying that, even if he isn't ready to play right away, he can't be that far off. Second, I've got wide receiver Matthew Auton. I mean, he's listed at 6'1", 205, ran a 4.4 in high school, ran track. That seems like a guy, at least from a build point, that is ready to play college football right away. And then with all the uncertainty that we have at wide receiver, this class has 4 wide receivers in it, and then 2 that entered in the transfer portal that I've already talked about. The opportunity to come out there and play wide receiver is probably one of the best openings in the country, right? Like, you're going into a great offense. You've got 2 great running backs. You're returning a bunch of offensive linemen, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. The opportunity to come in and play wide receiver is there. So I think Matthew Auton is probably the most ready, aside from the transfer portal guys, but I would not be surprised if we saw him playing meaningful snaps this fall. Next, I've got Malachi Goodman on here. I know that he is not enrolling until the spring, but if you're a 5-star offensive lineman, you're likely already in a spot where you're physically ready to play. I believe he's like 6'6", like 320, 330, which you can just plug a guy like that right into an offensive line in college football, and he fits the size build. So I'm not going to rule him out because he's a 5-star, but not being there in the spring, I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt him, but I think he'll have to end up doing some catch up once the summer comes around. Finally, I've got tight end Andrew Olesh. He was another 5-star. I don't think he's going to start, but based off of what we've seen with the way that Penn State conducts their business with tight ends, it seems like they've always done a relatively good job of incorporating kind of all of those guys into the offense, regardless of what year you are, how old you are. They used they've used 3 tight ends last year throughout the season, and I don't know if that'll necessarily change because you are going to consistently be bringing in talented guys, and he's one of the 3 best tight ends in the country. So it would be difficult probably to keep him off the field if he's ready to go like that. So that pretty much wraps it up for the early enrollee aspect of this. There are, I believe, 10 other guys in this class that will be joining the team in the summer. So once we get a little bit closer to that, I can go through and sort of talk with everybody about who those guys are and kind of what that outlook looks like for the remaining 10 guys in this recruiting class. But let me know your thoughts on who you guys think is going to make an impact right away. I'm really interested to hear it. But yeah, that wraps it up for the 2025 early enrollees at Penn State. We are.